So, my mother and we haven't always had the best, like, emotional attachment. Um, I love my mother to death, but me being, like, such an emotional person, she was never really good at dealing with emotions, dealing with trauma, things like that. And over the years, throughout my childhood, even in my adulthood, it has created some pretty deep mother wounds for me. So deep that it got to the point if I did experience like some major trauma, um, I just wouldn't tell her because I know that the support wouldn't be there. I know that the capacity to support me in those situations, it's just not there for us. And what has helped me is something that I came to this realization over the weekend. It's like this epiphany that came to me yesterday. And I was like, it can help us, cure some of these mother wounds because we have to look at the vulnerability factors that our mothers had to go through in their time. My mom, I was born in 85, okay? Um, and my biological father was very abusive. So she left him. And this was around the time where, things were really traumatic for my mother. When she had me, she was only 6 months pregnant, and I had to be in the hospital for 3 months. But it wasn't too long after she was able to get me from the hospital that she met my stepdad. And my stepdad is a narcissistic piece of crap. So, yeah, it was really, at that time, there was really no saving her. Either way, it was going to be an experience for the two of us where we had to deal with narcissistic, abusive men. And they tell me the story about how they met. Uh, she was walking down the street and my stepdad stopped her and he looks at her and he says, "You're going to be my wife and you're going to have all my children." And she's like, who does he think he is, right? So later on, she went to this house party and she took me with her. She would take me everywhere she went. And, I'm just a little baby. I'm a newborn, right? Um, and my stepdad said that he came in and he saw this pretty little baby laying on the couch. And he said he picked me up and said, "Whose baby is this?" And nobody said anything. And he's like, "Whose baby is this?" Nobody answered. And he's like, "Fine, it's my baby." So he's carrying me around this party and he runs into my mom. And she's like, "What are you doing with my baby?" And he's like, "Oh, I picked her up. Nobody said that it was her baby." So he said, "It's my baby." So, of course, very romantic story. Like, it was just meant to be, right? And it was meant to be, I guess. Because, I mean, even though it was a very traumatic experience, a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, it made me who I am today. But I look back at that time and I'm like, my mother was only 3 months postpartum from a very, very traumatic birth and a very traumatic experience as a mother. Not to mention the stigma that's put on single mothers in the first place. But even more so, being a Black American mother in that day and age. I mean, Black American mothers have a great stigma even today. And she stayed with this man who accepted her, accepted her child, was willing to be there and help raise her child. And she gave him 9 children. Okay? And he's the only father that I've ever known. I didn't find my biological father till just a few years ago. And that vulnerability that she had and wanting to make sure that she raised her children in a two-parent household, to make sure that she didn't have multiple men who fathered her children, and really just trying to be what we are supposed to be. And there are a lot of times, because we are trying to fight statistics, we are trying to fight a stigma, we are trying to fight societal opinions. With that, we can put ourselves in harm's way. I watched my mother. I watched her do everything. I helped my mother. I helped with all of my brothers and sisters. I was the eldest. I wasn't able to be a child for very long. I had a lot of responsibilities. I watched her just work herself, and sacrifice so much. So as I grew, I figured must be what I'm supposed to do as a woman, and as a mother, as a wife. You're supposed to just put up with everything from the man that you're with, and just really try to find the good in all of that, because the last thing you want to be is a single black mother. Even though there will always be parts of my soul and parts of my heart that will continue to yearn for that deeper connection with my mom, I understand why I chose to come through her as a portal. Her strength and her resilience is something that so many people admire. And I'm happy that I was able to gain that from her. And I'm happy that I have the awareness to see and understand that her vulnerabilities were played on and taken advantage of all her life. And I'm happy that I have been aware and able to see that I can take a stand for myself, and I don't have to put up with abuse or anything for more than half my life. I can move on, and I don't have to be worried about the stigma of being a single black mother, because rather children grow up in a two-parent household, with their aunties, uncles, grandparents. What all children need are healthy, happy adults around them to show them how to love themselves, so that they can grow up with healthy boundaries, and we can really start healing these generational curses and healing the mentality of sacrificing ourselves for everybody else. We can start teaching and showing that we can pour into ourselves, so that we can be better as a community, or for everybody else. Yeah. So heal those mother wounds, heal those father wounds, by just gaining some understanding and looking at that vulnerability. It's not an excuse, it's just a reason.